Good morning, everyone. Welcome to random video number X, part 10, number 10. And it's about 8 minutes past 8, 57 degrees on another beautiful Saturday morning in Ohio. And I hate to report that this will probably be one of the last cool Saturday mornings we'll have in some time. Probably till early fall anyway, because the warm weather's supposed to move back in this week. It's supposed to be in the high 80s and low 90s, and I hate it. As an ex-smoker, and they got humidity still cranks up. It's kind of tough for me to breathe, which makes it. It's getting better. I've been smoke-free for a little over a year, so it's getting better. But I always dreaded humid days. It was awful to breathe. And this morning we're going to kick off this video. We got the iced tea brewing out there, the old sun tea. That's always a good thing to have during summer. And what today will be is Outstanding Project Saturday. I've got so many things to do around this place. It's just incredible. And one of the things that's been on the roster since the end of May, and you guys aren't going to believe this, but guess what? That flower bed's still not done. Oh boy. Things got hectic, things got busy. This got put way in the back on the burner. And it got overgrown with weeds. I've taken out a lot. The grass was so horrible in this bed, and it grew. It was probably 3 foot tall. I pulled a lot of it out and weeded the back half. Now, when we discussed this before in a video I put up, from the front of the legs on the propane tank right here around the back, we're going to lay landscape fabric and then put rocks on top of that. And I'll show you the rocks here in a minute. I got a pile down by the barn we're going to get rid of. And then from the front half forward is going to be all flower bed. Well, it's going to take some doing to get that back to where it has to go. As you can see, it needs some dirt put in it and some raising done. I couldn't sink the blocks really any lower than what they are in the yard, because if I'd have went lower out here, this would have been below ground back here. So I had to kind of compromise. It looks funky. What it actually needs is raised completely internally. The plants are only taken out and it raised, but my wife's not going to do that this year. We might do that next year. And I like the landscaping stone because I did this flower bed over here by our garage about 5 years ago, and they've weathered nicely. And another thing, of course the skid hasn't moved since the end of May either, is I need to get out here and take care of this bed too. We're going to put the landscape block around this bed. I can't go very high on this because right in the middle of it is our well casing. And we don't want to cover him up. That's a big no-no. State of Ohio would probably have a big enough fit with that ground being close to where it's at, because a lot of the newer wells you have to be almost 2 foot above the ground. Can't have them right on the ground or inside a building or anything like that anymore. So we'll walk down here, look at the rocks we're going to put up there. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday morning. Mine's not been too bad. Got up and made a pot of coffee and got the wife ready for work and whatnot. And it's really a gorgeous morning out here. I hate that it's going to get so hot again. It's just ugh. And it's actually cool enough this morning. You probably can't see it very well down in the pond. There was steam on that this morning, but you really can't tell now. But here's our rocks we're going to put underneath the tank. We're going to lay our flatter, heavier ones around the outside, and I've got some flatter. They're almost like a foundation stone. When we lived at the last house we lived at about 12 miles south of where we are now, there was an addition on the kitchen, and the foundation wall was starting to go bad, and I had to pull that off, the foundation wall, jack the end of the kitchen up, and put a new cinder block wall in there. And when I cleaned that underneath there out, it was full of these rocks, full of all kinds of old neat stuff. Wood lath, they tore a wall out and threw the wood lath into the house. That was kind of bad. But a lot of these bigger rocks, that's what they came from. That was the foundation on that old house we lived in. And when we moved, I had to put them in the trailer and drag them 12 miles to the north. And here they are again. A lot of these rocks have got more miles on them than the average person. So we're going to pause right now. I got to take some mail down to the mailbox, and we'll pick back up here in a few minutes. Kick off the festivities. We'll get the fire pit going here. That way we can pull the weeds and all that good crap and throw it on here and get it burning. Incidentally, I did get rid of that big brush pile I'd had here. It was about, oh, I don't know, maybe this high off the ground, about 4 foot off the ground. I burned all that up yesterday. When we get done burning all this mess here, it's going to be time to clean out the fire pit. I haven't done that in probably a year, maybe a little longer. Oh, the difference an hour makes. Boy, that was pretty nasty. I got out the largest bulk of it. My wife can kind of go through here and pick out all the small stuff because she's got some plants here and plants here and plants back here. I don't want to disturb any of that or pull something I'm not supposed to, but I found this little light. Maybe he might be able to charge now and light up again. He was completely covered. We got a lot of these neat bricks around here too that say Ohio on them. And there was a brick and block manufacturer to the northwest of here that made them a long time ago. And on this side, I've only got to go to the back side of this honeysuckle with the landscape fabric. We're going to fill that in with rock too. And in preparation, I got to take this top course of block out because we're going to tuck the edge of that landscape fabric underneath of that. And to show you how cheap things in America are now, we're even cutting back on concrete when we make these blocks. And sure as it might give you a good handhold to pick up and grab the block and run around, that's an essential weak point in them block. Because as I was laying these starter course, as a starter course I should say, I'd level that up, put my little torpedo level on there, smack it with a dead blow hammer and drive the corners down. Excuse me. So what you had to watch is that you didn't hit it too hard here, because you can knock a hole plumb through the thing. Or you could split it straight across the middle, because that's a natural breaking point right there. So they really cheapened these up. Now our second skid we got into, this was the first skid. These are called a Creststone. I got these at Menards. And this was the second skid. Much heavier block. I don't know if they grabbed the wrong skid, but I'm not going to tell them. But a cheapness factor on the first skid, and I think got more than makes up for the second skid. So I got to remove this top course all the way from the back of that honeysuckle down the west side here. I'm not going to worry so much about the little weeds underneath of there. The landscape fabric will pretty much exterminate them. But here's the end result. Whew, a lot of weeds. And this honeysuckle needed a good trim too. This thing needs cut back even more, so it's off of our propane tank, because we painted this about 2 years ago I think, and that's just going to wear on the side of that tank. We don't get that off her again. We thought it'd be neat when we painted this tank to give it a black cap, and sure enough, what's the first thing the propane company does when they come up here and fill the tank? Slam the frickin' lid against the top of the tank. And I had to fill this with screen. I used latex caulking and screen because I kept getting birds and bees and stuff up in there doing their thing. I finally found something them doggone weeds are good for. Fire fodder. Let them burn. Well, let's take a break. It's like it's about time for some coffee. And we'll get back to this project here in a few minutes. Break time's over. We got our cup of coffee and everything's taken care of. Doggies had to go out as well, so it was a much needed break for everyone. Now that we got the weeds pulled out around that tank and underneath it we're going to put the rocks at, we're going to lay down this weed barrier. This is called Weed Ender. It's a 15-year landscape fabric that supposedly is supposed to stop the weeds but let the water through. And we're going to lay that down around the bottom of the propane tank, under the tank, and around the other side behind the honeysuckle. We're going to remove that top layer landscape brick block first from the end of the tank all the way around the other side, and put our rock in, and then we'll tuck this underneath and cut off the excess. So we need to quit haggling and get this done. Now some of this landscape fabric, depending on what you want, can be rather costly. I think this stuff was around $3 or $4. I didn't want a whole lot. This is 3 foot wide by 50 foot long. That's more than enough Some of that stuff's a couple 100 foot on a roll, and of course the longer it gets, the more expensive it gets, and the bigger level of protection you want. Some of it's brown, some of it's black, but we're just going to take it and we're going to cut it with the old sharpened pocket knife here. Use an old pocket knife or an old pair of scissors or something. We're going to be working outside. We don't want nothing nice. So let's quit flapping our jaws and get to it. That was kind of a pain getting that fabric in there. Wow. Jiminy, just the slightest little breeze this morning. We only got like 6-mile-an-hour winds, if that. But I mean, it just grabs this stuff and lays it back, and I had to put stones on it and rocks on it and all kinds of stuff to keep it in. But it didn't turn out too bad. So now we can go get our rocks. I think I'm going to start with them flat ones first, because they got a nice flat edge, and I can put them underneath of there facing the back, and that'll kind of give us like a little foundation wall back in there. And as another thing that will help me out with too is I'm trying to shove them underneath that tank, and there just ain't much clearance. The smaller rocks will be a little easier to manage. I mean, maybe put the bigger ones on the ends or something like that. But if you haven't bought any of these gel-filled knee pads, they sell these at Lowe's for I think 14 or 15 bucks. Good investment. It'd be worth your while to to go out and get you a pair if you can afford them. So we'll get the tractor out and let it warm up, and we'll go down and start selecting what rocks we want. Okie dokie. Alright, let's go. Sit here and warm up for a few. Load number 1 is in. I tried to edge out the back side of that landscape fabric with the first load, and then just kind of fill in around everywhere with the last load. And I'm going to have to find some skinny little rocks to go in here and there. We got plenty of them down on the pile. Nice thing about it, even though some of these are pretty thin, is the distance that they'll cover in one rock. Like this big boy right here. My wife might be kind of upset that I smashed a few of her flowers back in there, but I gotta keep that edge down. So load 1's a success. Let's go get load 2. With loads 3 and 4 it's looking better, but whew, kicking my butt. Those are some big rocks. Thank goodness I got that loader. Boy, that really makes a big difference in wheeling them around a wheelbarrow like we probably did for years before. It turned out pretty good. I got some small spaces I gotta fill in here and there as I dig down through the pile and get the bigger ones out I want first, and I'll concentrate more on putting the smaller ones back in between. So I'm gonna grab me something to drink real quick, sit down a spell or two, and get load number 4, I think. Rock and roll, baby. Yeah, what do y'all think? Pretty much been taking all the little stone and stuff and filling it in. So many rocks. I don't think it turned out too bad. I got some filling to do over here. 2.5 hours later, here's the finished product. Boy, am I whooped. I didn't even do any of the heavy hauling this time. Just managing to get all them big son of a guns underneath of there. You had to lay down on your gut and use all your, or down on your stomach and use all your gut muscles, your lower gut muscles. Whew. Well, I figured the foundry had me in better shape than that, but I guess not. What I want to do, I got the garden hose out. Oh, let's spray a few of these down, and cause some of them are kind of neat. Let me find a good pattern here on the. There we go. Cause some of these are pretty neat looking, and a lot of these haven't been washed off forever. They've been down that rock pile buried. Them down there look pretty neat. I have a lot of granite in the ground around here, and shelf granite's what they call it, like a edge of a granite cliff we're living on in this area. Take a couple washings to get all that dirt off of them. Like that one right there, he's a pretty neat one on the corner, kind of pink. Looks like he's got some quartz in it. Same thing with that guy right there. Yeah, while I'm around here, might as well fill up the birdie bath. Guys, I sure do hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm going to cut it off here for today and make this part 1 of Random Videos number 10. And take a break. And I will probably start working on the other one either later today or tomorrow. And put up a completely different video for that. Now I gotta make the birdie birds happy. What I'd love to do, this was an old pump that was in the back porch when Mom and Dad lived here. It went down to the cistern. It's been long removed. I'd like to find a way, if you fill this up, it'll still run some stuff out the spout. Wouldn't that be neat to run over into that bird bath? Yeah, it's just a thought. So for now, guys, that's going to be it for part 1. Thanks for watching.